Without Shanks, Luffy would probably have never started his pirating journey. He inspired him to hit the open seas, and brought the gum-gum fruit into his life, even if he didn't intend for him to eat it. He saved him from a sea king, and lost his arm in the process. Later on, he proves to be an even more important part of the overall story. Even his biggest fans don't know everything there is to know about him. With that in mind, let's get into some things you didn't know about Shanks. One interesting detail is the fact that out of all of his characters, Oda said that he's most similar to Shanks. But while he might relate to him, he's content to let the fans pick out some of the details surrounding him. His birthday was decided by a fan. Number 1. The sword that Shanks carries with him is called Griffin. A fan wrote into the SBS column asking Oda if he could draw an anthropomorphized version of the sword. The fan was hoping for something cool, but Oda had a different idea of what the sword might look like as a human. Number 2. For some reason, a book called The Anime Encyclopedia, a guide to Japanese animation since 1917, wrote the name Junks when they meant Shanks. The book also stated that Luffy saved Junks' life, instead of the other way around. While that factual detail was corrected in later editions, the name Junks was never edited out. Everyone makes mistakes, but it seems odd that this was never changed across multiple editions, and it means that there are probably a few people out there who still think his name is Junks. Number 3. In most cases, the 4Kids dub removed what they considered to be excess violence or sexual content. In Shanks' case, most of the cuts revolved around his drinking. This actually created an incorrect impression that Shanks was somehow menacing. When Mihawk shows up to tell Shanks that Luffy would soon be arriving, Shanks asks him to stay. The reason he asks is that he wants him to come to Luffy's welcome party, but because the boozy festivities are removed, it sounds like he's refusing to let Mihawk leave, and plans to harm him. Wouldn't it have been less disturbing to depict a party where everyone is happy, and the adults indulge in substances that are perfectly legal? Number 4. When Ace and Shanks first meet in the anime, Shanks is depicted with both of his arms intact. This was an animation error, which was corrected for the home release. Still, it's interesting to imagine what might have caused Shanks to suddenly regrow an arm. What if he ate a devil fruit behind the scenes? Number 5. In the first version of Romance Dawn, which was a set of pilots for what would eventually become One Piece, Shanks lost his arm in a slightly more realistic way. Rather than being attacked by an imaginary creature like a sea king, he was attacked by an ordinary shark. While that's certainly just as painful, the change gives the series a more fantastical feel. Number 6. Shanks spends most of his time at sea, so it's a good thing that one of his favorite foods can be found in the ocean. He's a big fan of lobster, though we don't know how he likes it prepared. His other favorite dish is kimchi fried rice, which is also a good choice for a long trip. Kimchi can be stored for long periods of time without going bad. Number 7. In the second version of Romance Dawn, Shanks wasn't present at all. Instead of getting his devil fruit and hat from Shanks, he got them from his grandfather. But this isn't because Oda wasn't planning to include Shanks at all. It was because he had big plans for him in the future, and wanted to avoid revealing him until he could make a bigger impact later on. Number 8. Early in the series, Shanks and Buggy argue about whether the South Pole or the North Pole is colder. A fan wrote to Oda to ask who was correct, and Oda revealed that Shanks had the right answer, the flashback from Volume 3. The answer is the South Pole. The Arctic is not a continent, it's just a mass of ice. Land is colder than water, so the Antarctic is correct. So Shanks was right. However, the South Pole is not the coldest place in the world. One Piece doesn't take place in the real world, so this implies that its setting has at least this much in common with Earth. Number 9. Oda has a lot of characters to keep track of, so it's understandable that not all of them got canon birthdays right away. Sometimes, fans write in with suggestions for possible names, and Oda makes them canon. That's what happened with Shanks, whose birthday ended up being March 9th at a fan's request. Number 10. Shanks has a massive bounty of 4,048,900,000 berries on his head. This number may not have been chosen at random. 4-8-9 can be read as Shiyaku, which may be a nod to his name, Shanks Shankusu. Number 11. Alongside Kaido, Charlotte Linlin, and Marshall D. Teach, Shanks is one of the 4 emperors. He's the only one of them who isn't from the Grand Line, the only one who hasn't eaten a devil fruit, the only one who isn't the admiral of a fleet, the only one who isn't associated with the Rocks Pirates, and the only one who doesn't have a tattoo. Incidentally, he's also the only member of the Red Hair Pirates to hail from West Blue. The other 3 members come from East Blue, North Blue, and South Blue. Number 12. In nearly every pirate crew, there's at least one member who has devil fruit powers. The Red Hair Pirates are an exception. Not one of them has eaten a devil fruit. This means that they must rely on things like swordsmanship and haki to fight, and it also means they don't have to worry about, say, drowning if they happen to fall overboard while at sea. Number 13. Shanks is the first character seen using any sort of haki, which is an ability that involves manipulating one's own spiritual energy. But he isn't just the first, he's also among the best. He's one of the only characters to master all 3 forms, including Kanbunshoku Haki, Busos Hoku Haki, and House Hoku Haki. Do you agree with our lists or did we miss something? Comment it out below. Also, don't forget to subscribe.